Wednesday on YourView. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Nima Akasha Zibiri. How are you?
Good morning, ladies. I kind of forgot my banter. I just thought now.
Forgot about what?
I don't have anything to say.
But she had good.
I'm grateful to God.
Yeah,
very grateful.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Mariam?
Me too. I'm just happy and I'm grateful to God. Just, you know, get up in the morning, we go out to come home safe.
Yes,
so thankful to God
after what
for
happened
that.
yesterday, honestly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you didn't want to share?
No, I don't want to share.
How are you doing,
grateful
Topsy?
to God. I'm very good. So I went house hunting yesterday for a client, and I got to one area, and I remember being to that area before, maybe like a few years back, and the level of development, like there's a whole lot of growth within Lagos that sometimes, because of the things that are not working, we don't see the things that are working. There are areas that didn't exist, areas that were pure forest, and now have several estates with residents. So in the midst of what we see as crisis, there are positives. People are growing, people are expanding. I think we should take our time to focus our attention on what is positive so that we would attract more positivity into our lives. And my heart goes out to anyone that is feeling in that very negative space, because when they hear things like, they'll be like, oh, you are not going through what I'm going through. You cannot understand what it's like. But I'm saying it's a struggle to see positive in our environment, and we must struggle to focus our eyes on only those positive things, because
recently I've gotten a lot of requests for health issues. People are sick, somebody has breast cancer, someone is dealing with other kind of cancer, and they need support, they need help, you know. And sometimes we feel like handicapped. How do we help these people? Because when you start one person, others will start coming. Before you know it, they start coming to you. I mean, there was a time where TVC was helping people. TVC had a program specifically for this, where people come in, they cover stories. People started bringing people in stretchers to the gates, you know. So as much as our hearts go out to those of you having medical challenges at this time, I mean, I don't know what else we can do to support these people the best we can, but you know, so we can't do fundraising on TV, it's not allowed.
Bodies. So people should go online, search for, you know, some NGOs, institutions, because I work with someone who, whenever I need that kind of support, he will tell me it has to come from an agency that can verify that that condition actually is the situation.
Yes. Because there are many commercial beggars.
Yes, there was one in, that sent me messages from Ilorin, and then he had a teaching hospital referral. But when we now went to verify, because I sent it to this person, and he sent his people to verify it, and when they went there, it was not that referral that they gave. It was a referral for another diagnosis that they wanted. And, you know, you had used that, based it, and but he truly was suffering the condition.
So there are NGOs that can support people financially.
Yes, and you must understand that, because a lot of people are doing this begging now. People will want to verify where they're putting their money.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a process now.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. YourView will be right back.
All right, we'll start with the punch. Subsidy, NNPC may deduct over 1 trillion naira from FAC in 6 months. Picture here of the immediate past Lagos Commissioner of Police doing his pull-out parade. Ogun Monarch's murder. Police get clues. Abiodun demands killer's arrest. Lagos housewife allegedly kills husband with pressing iron during argument. Inspector General fortifies security as Ekiti PDP APC primaries hold today. Lover demands money to transport visiting girlfriend's corpse. Family alleges foul play. Reps majority leader gets 28th child. Lawmaker pursues 30. African Airlines passenger traffic crashes by 65% over Omicron others. Nigeria sinks deeper in corruption rating, drops to 154. ICPC disagrees. Okay. You want to start with the major headline?
Okay. Yes. So, for those of us who were thinking that subsidy will be removed like that, the notice is now clear. It's been extended for another 18 months, according to the federal government. And the Minister for State for Petroleum says that, you know, this planned subsidy removal will not be happening now. It will happen in 18 months. It requires the PIA to be amended to cover certain areas. Of course, the NLC is relieved temporarily with this. They say that talks continue with the federal government while they're looking at this removal. And in the next 6 months, notice is that we will lose about 1 trillion naira to pay for the subsidy that we have now decided to push forward. That's 6 out of the 18 months. So we might need to use 3 trillion at the end of the 18 months if they finally do remove it to subsidize petroleum products.
So those getting...
See, they are looking at me. It's not me that...
So those getting the kickbacks from the marketers, they have more money to eat food. So continue. You continue to chop
when we
money.
have a government who is not clear as to what they need to do. The problem of Nigeria...
that will plead for clarity. No problem. Let's move on.
We are on the same thing.
Let us move on.
They did not build refinery. Relieve your people of hardship.
If you are chopping from the marketers, please
don't push your hardship to us.
Let us move on, please. Another story.
Human interest story. So a housewife called Otunba has allegedly killed her husband. He was the owner of Bama Hotels and Suites in Aigbe area. They said that on Monday, January, he was rushed to the hospital. He had died. That, according to one version of the story, a friend of his says that they had a fight. She was upset that he had gotten another lady pregnant, and then she took a hot iron to him. At first, she had drugged him. He was asleep, and while he was asleep, she took the hot iron and burnt his chest, and he died. So she, when she was taken to the station, said that, yes, they had a fight on Sunday, and it was about a worker that he had refused to sack. And yes, she took an iron to his chest. But then after everything was normal, he even went out with her younger brother to the bar to just relax. And at night, when she noticed the wound, she was like, we need to do something about it. I was like, no, nothing. It's a small thing. It's not a big deal. And, as the night ensued, while they were involved with each other, he started gasping for breath, and it rushed him to the hospital, and where he was found dead. So
if he wasn't electrocuted, how does burnt iron kill somebody?
So it's not burnt iron. So they need to do autopsy to confirm what actually
very important. We even have a story that requires autopsy. So this
Nigeria that is moved by sensationalizing.
Yes,
they just go with that.
Because if she didn't explain her size, probably would have just
stay in jail forever.
So in Ondo State, this lover, Olasukomi Oluwole, allegedly killed his lover. And she had, her name Biola Soyinka, she had visited him from Lagos. And whatever led to her death was not clear, but she died while with him. He called her relatives, who are the ones who are giving this report now, in Lagos to say that she died, and they requested that he sends her body. But he says, send transport fare. And that, sort of provoked them. So when they went to see the body, they said that there were marks on her. She had dark patches. She's a fair-skinned lady. She had dark patches on her, and they are suggesting that he beat her. This, of course, needs autopsy, because not everybody, a body that is dead, that will not have certain reaction over time. But from what they didn't go immediately. They didn't see a fresh body. He had already put her in a morgue before they went to see the body. So those dark patches need to be scientifically explained before we can conclude that. Because people die. There's something called sudden death. Not necessarily that somebody killed somebody. Before we start to jump on this, she might just have died at the wrong place and in a suspicious manner, but just might have died naturally. So autopsy will be best, so that we're not punishing an innocent person. But if he's guilty, please, he should face the law.
All right, any other story?
I want to take the story about the impact of Omicron on airlines. So the IATA report has been released saying that African airlines have really suffered major dip, 65.2%, as opposed to last year it was 65.8%. And this is in comparison to 2019. So from 2020 COVID experience, things went bad with the airline industry, and this would threaten airline companies, airlines already that are barely afloat. There was no exact conversation on how to improve the air traffic, but they blame Omicron. So we're hoping that if we get more people vaccinated, people would get back into flying and doing business abroad.
So I was just going to take the picture story, because congratulations to the former Commissioner of Police of Lagos State. He's now AIG, Assistant Inspector General of Police. So the parade was yesterday, although the whole of Ikeja was blocked. But yes, the Governor of Lagos State was also there. And it was his pull-out parade, and it was good. It was an honorable moment for him.
Maybe already the peak of our career. I think he's tried. at this point to be a commissioner of a state like Lagos and then retire. It's the dream of some commissioners that I've known in the past who were not able to achieve that.
Moving on quickly to Daily Sun, Buhari proposes extension of fuel subsidy removal. Corruption Nigeria drops in global ranking. 2023, women rally for APC Governor Yahaya Bello in Abuja. Fanfare to FG, release Igboho Kanu now, insists on restructuring. Government suspend NURTW operations in Lagos Island. Insecurity, 17,000 Nigerians killed in 2 years, says report. And ESN not militants or cannibals, IPOB replies army. Okay, which story?
Yes,
ESN?
so, yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Not ESN, so over 17,000 Nigerians killed in 2 years. This is a report compiled by SBM Intelligence, a geopolitical intelligence platform, and the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data ACLED project. So it's just a breakdown of, you know, how banditry, kidnapping, militia headsmen, abductions, gang clashes, you know, across Nigeria. And the data they're giving is that, you know, we have, first of all, no fewer than 17,363 persons were killed across Nigeria in violent incidents between 2020 and 2021. And then, you know, give a further breakdown of how many students have been abducted in this period. He says that the report said 2,371 people were abducted in Nigeria between January and June of 2020, and 10 billion demanded as ransom. So this is why I took it, because of the amount of money that is going, you know, that is being, that you find within this particular, is it business now? This kidnapping business, people have made it a business, because first of all, what we thought that they were strangers with masks on and you could not find them because they were deep in the forest, it has become something that family members are doing against each other, neighbors are doing against each other, and there's so much money just passing through, and it's passing through some channels, banks, mobile apps, and things like that. We need to find out, we need to work quickly on how to, you know,
it's a new industry. I read a report where yesterday a woman was saying that she receives 50,000 naira from these bandits. She actually employed 2 of her daughters to also join in, to become one of their wives. So also so that she can be collecting money, because her own husband wasn't giving her money for food.
Wow.
So obviously she was married, she was prostituting and recruiting young girls for the same business.
For bandits. Yes, because they're giving money.
So the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, that's a private sector think tank of the country, have said that 91 million Nigerians now live below poverty line in Nigeria. According to the chairman of the group, Asue Ighodalo, he says that he's basing his ranking on the World Bank estimate that 1 million Nigerians dropped into below poverty line between June and November 2021, resulting in the addition of an existing number of 7 million in that year alone who fell below. So that addition with the numbers that we already have got us to about 91 million Nigerians living below poverty line. In their event that they had, that they tagged the last mile for, they talked about how just decried the obvious hardship suffered. And, you know, the federal government usually cannot disagree on this, because they also said that 2020, because of COVID-19, lockdown, a lot of businesses suffered. So these are the indices that they're also looking at to, you know, to arrive at these figures. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Daily Sun.
So I wanted to take the ESN story. The spokesperson for Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, gave a statement concerning ESN, the Eastern Security Network, that contrary to what the military is putting out, the police is putting out, he's saying that the ESN is not a cannibal, it's not a group of militants or cannibals. They don't live in camps. Their goal has been clear from the get-go, which is to establish Biafra, restoration of Biafra. That's the word. Our mission is restoration of Biafra. It says we are not cultists, and our members are not cannibals or criminals. That if the police and military have found criminals, they should deal with the criminals, but that it shouldn't label those criminals members of Eastern Security Network.
Okay, so Afenifere had a general meeting yesterday, where they appealed to the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho. According to them, they're asking that the government use the same political considerations the former president Olusegun Obasanjo applied in releasing Asari Dokubo of the Niger Delta back then. That they called on men and women of conscience globally, internationally, to join their voice to prevail on the government of Nigeria to release Sunday Igboho and also Nnamdi Kanu has also paid Sunday Igboho all he lost from the invasion of the Nigerian DSS to his house last year. So that was pretty much, and there was a press release that was signed by their publicity secretary, Mr. Jare Ajayi, who gave this to the press yesterday. Okay, moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune. To sustain subsidy, FG proposes 18-month delay for PIA. For 11th year, Dangote named Africa's richest person. Governorship election, Oyetola formally receives nomination form. Burkina Faso, UN, US, Macron, others call for Caboret's release. How I discovered Rivers aircraft abandoned in Germany, says Wike. Transparency International ranks Nigeria 154 out of 180 countries. Electoral Act reps agree with Senate finally at consensus option. Okay, which story?
Let me quickly jump on Governor Oyetola. So, a group in Osun State bought his nomination ticket for him. And he's thankful. He says that this, for him, of course, means that, you know, it's a call to save them again. He said that, I'm trying to get the name of the group quickly, you know, but they sort of raised the money for his nomination form and they bought it for him. He says while he's trying to gather the money and thinking about his intention to run, but the group has, you know,
they've done it for him.
So we'll say, well done. Let's see how the election goes.
My uncle and mentor.
Your mentor.
Alhaji Dangote.
Alhaji Dangote, one of the good news from Nigeria, has retained the title of being the richest person in Africa. 11 years running. Of course, we can see where the money is coming from. The group's network is, as a group, the continent has 18 billionaires.
Okay.
That are worth an estimate of 84 billion. And that's 15% more than 12 months ago. So there's been improvements since after COVID. I know that a lot of the billionaires lost money during, a lot of us billionaires lost money during COVID. But, you know, the owner of BUA also is on the list, according to Forbes. So Nigeria has a few people on the list. What I just want to say is, while I see this as a success story, I would really, really appreciate a bit of mentoring from Dangote to other people. Of course, it can't be directly to everybody, but we need to replicate these success stories.
I think it's already happening.
I think he does that with LBS and things like that. But you know what I wanted
to have like a foundation like Ilumelu's.
If we have, if we have new entrants onto this list, you know, it's good to always call the usual names. So it'd be nice to say we have 15 more billionaires who
it's the same usual. Mike Adenuga is on the list as the 6th.
There's no clash between this list and our AMCON list.
Anyways, let's move on to
yes, and we hope that the full tax is being paid to the country.
Okay.
Any other story in Tribune?
So I don't know how to interpret this story, but Governor Wike has just revealed to us that, you know, there's a state-owned aircraft called Legacy 600 aircraft that was allegedly flown to Germany in 2012 and abandoned there by his predecessor, the current Minister for Transportation. He said when he went to Germany and he found he was so grateful to them for them opening up and telling him the truth. He says, but there's no documentation or anything to show that they even have such a facility just sitting in Germany. Wow. And so, you know, this is, you know, it calls for concern. So my question is, how is it that no one knew about this aircraft? You must have a list
There's a flight manifest of how we got there.
Good. He says there's nothing to show for that, but it's good that they found it, and I would like to hear what the response will be.
I'm sure he did a probe
his
when he
predecessor.
took over office.
Let me quickly take the story of corruption and Nigeria. Oh yeah, take it.
Transparency International.
Go ahead.
Transparency International has released the reports that they do, and Nigeria is now 154 out of 180 countries. It's a sad state of things because this is one of the campaign that the president came into power with. It's to deal with corruption, and we scored 24 out of 100 points. And the country, he said, according to the statement, in this country, the aggregate of 8 different resources provided the details that was used as parameter to judge this. So this is not something that they can say, oh, it's a lie, it's not a lie. They broke down the details of how they got
disagree, though. The SAPC do not agree with Transparency International. They believe that their corruption perception index did not reflect the fights that they have had here, and they think that it could be better done. But I don't disagree with the report. I think that if there's this level of insecurity, there's certainly corruption, because that means the security agencies are not doing the right thing.
Exactly.
But that
was one of their metrics too.
Exactly. So
they also use the metric of budgets, duplication of projects in the budget year on year. Yeah. There are many metrics they use. I don't think that is the right thing to just say, no, we don't agree. It is to analyze everything and find who are the people culpable in this
The fight against corruption is not how many prosecutions you finally do.
Yes.
So it's not how many arrests you finally do.
The result is on the streets.
It has to be reduced within...
Electoral Act.
Please.
So both chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate and House of Representatives and National Assembly, have both agreed to the consensus. And what this means is that parties will now have the options for direct, indirect, and consensus.
Back to square one.
Yeah, go back to where we were. How did people get here?
They've sent it back to the president, which you get an assent by, say, in 7 days. But that is the nutshell of the story.
Let's move on.
We kind of knew we were going to come back to this.
Yeah, that's why we said we remove subsidy. We don't remove. We did not remove now until after elections.
In fact, it's after 20 so what the president just did,
just push everything to the next president.
Whoever takes over. But the next president must be very strategic. As you're coming in, you better do it the first week.
Yes.
Remove the subsidy first week first. Yes, because if you let it stay one other guinea called, you are in trouble again.
You just be saving.
Whoever it is. Okay, let's move on to Vanguard. I was the special advisor to the president. Subsidy remover. Okay. Vanguard, PIA in limbo, we've talked about that. Let's find a story we've not taken. Clashes, Lagos government suspend NURTW in Idumota, others indefinitely. 91 million Nigerians fall below poverty line, says NESG report. We won't allow headsmen overrun Undo, says Akeredolu. NBET pays 42 billion naira to Gencos for November power supply. Senate tasks security chiefs to stem smuggling of petroleum products. Hanifa's murder followed due process in revalidation of school licenses, PDP tells government, Kano State government. Okay.
So Governor Akeredolu is the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum. The governor of Ondo State has said again that he would not allow criminals masquerading as headsmen overrun the state. There's been a spate of killings and kidnapping by suspected headsmen in the northern senatorial district within the last 1 month. So while he was getting the representatives of Auga community led by Alauga of Auga Akoka, Oba Samuel Aguloye, he promised this community and other communities that have been within this area where the killings have took place that they would protect them. They won't allow headsmen to be there, and he urged the citizens to be prepared and report any suspected criminal because, of course, they've already outlawed open grazing within the state. So he's just reiterating the fact that these things, we saw what happened, we know, and we're speaking up and fighting for the people of the state.
Yeah, so the Senate has asked that the heads of security and paramilitary agencies should do something about smuggling of petroleum and petroleum products. He had a meeting, the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, said that we're aware that some of the products, particularly PMS, is smuggled out, and yet we pay subsidy on, you know, what is smuggled out. And he says that he would also ask, he will have a meeting with the National Security Advisor on how, you know, on better strategies to curb this smuggling, because the effect and the impact on us, Nigeria, is quite debilitating. Okay,
so the Special Advisor to the Governor on Transportation, Mr. Oluwatoyin Fayinka, has already announced suspension of NURTW in Church Street and the Dumota Bridge area until further indefinitely until we investigate. So if you recall, the petition of Okoro was what led to the arrest of Mustafa Sego and Kunle Poli, who are still under detention with the police while the investigation is ongoing. And the president of the union himself has also said that they might also suspend all the activities of NURTW if they continue this violence. So the investigation is ongoing, but I'm happy that the leaders of this union are on top of it and ensuring that safety and security is restored to these various areas in Lagos State. Okay, we have to wrap up, but I know there was a story you want to take in this.
So thieves break into Arik airplane in Lagos and strip cockpit gadget. So these suspected thieves broke into an Arik aircraft that had been parked at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, and they removed what is called a flight management computer, FMC, and other accessories. So the FMC is a fundamental component of a modern airliner's gadget. It is a specialized computer system that automates a wide variety of flight tasks. So a lot of things, it does so much that engineers do not need to be part of a flight now, you know. So he says that the only way this could have been done would be by an insider who understands what this was and what is for. And it's between, this happened between Wednesday. They gave a time that the airplane was parked, 7 a.m. on Thursday, and January 2022, the breaking was noticed.
So we the people.
This is just we the people.
We'll be right back.
And enter aircraft now.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, as usual, we're minding our business. When story broke. And we couldn't wait till Thursday to discuss this because we just thought it was an important conversation. You know, there's just so much happening in the country. There's so much to learn, you know. So yesterday, as Nigerians were minding their business, news broke that a popular gospel artist, Sammie Okposo, took to his social media page to publicly admit to cheating on his wife and apologized to her profusely. Said that he cheated on her while he was in the U.S. He also announced his decision to step away from the ministry, pending full restoration. Meanwhile, he administered last Sunday in church. That's by the way. According to reports, this is not the first time Sammie Okposo will be apologizing because he committed some kind of adultery or fornication. Now, this is an interesting story, not because of the gist factor, no. It's interesting because lots of women need to learn. Because we also took a story of a woman whose husband allegedly cheated on her, and she allegedly took iron on him. We don't know if it was hot iron, whatever it is. And then the man has died. Now, there's an issue. So I know a lot of women, maybe not all women, always have this thing in their head where they prepare for when the news comes. Like, you have, okay, what is my reaction? What would I do when that thing happens, when I get this news that the average woman dreads? So your head thinking, I will use a knife. I will use iron. I will break his head. I'll pour water on this. You know, you have it in your mind. And then when the news comes, because subconsciously you prepared your mind that, it is hot iron or it is knife, you go ahead and do it, and before you know it, somebody is dead. So the real question is, what are our lessons from Sammie Okposo? We're not here to trash or bash anybody because we never know. Life happens to people all the time. The perfect marriage can go sour because of anything. So let's not act as if we're all perfect. Anything can happen.
Yep.
It's still Nigeria, right? We're still here. So let's hear your thoughts on what are the lessons all parties can learn from this very, very worrying domestic matter. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also send us tweets on hashtag YourViewTVC. We'd love to read your tweets, and messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll also be happy to read your messages. All right, so this thing happened. Now, to set the foundation, this is not the first time. Sammie Okposo is like, we know now. Is it not Sammie Okposo? Not today.
My God.
Yeah, there's that. There are men like this. Not today. You know. When you heard the news, what are your thoughts on this? Let's start from his angle. Auntie?
Yeah, I was just happy for him.
You're happy for him?
He's a worry guy, and he showed it. I felt that he needed to come out with his side quickly, because this, of course, was going to come and scatter his image, and it would look bad if he was responding. So just let me lie my lie, let me insult myself, or whatever. If you want to blackmail me, let's put it out there. Let everybody cuckoo see what happened. So he came out with an apology to his wife, to his congregation and supporters, and people he religiously looks up to. Yeah. And then he confessed about what he had done, and he admitted this was wrong, that he was feeling bad about it. And he put it there before we saw the side of the other person at all. I heard any of those stories that, you know, of course, can destroy his image. Unfortunately, the image out there gone is something else, because, you know, this, according to reports that were now coming out and some that we already knew, was a trend, something that he would do from time to time. Then, you know, so he's someone that has two personalities for me. He's a religious man, but he's a man of humor. He's not a man of God.
Okay, so let me come to another person. Mariam, your thoughts on this?
Okay, so for me, it's just the angle of maybe we should start looking at sex addiction critically. A lot of people have tried to explain it to say, well, that's the thing we've been telling you, African men are polygamous in nature. And I'm saying, is marrying someone the same as a lustful, illicit affair? Is that how you marry someone, that you're polygamous in nature? Does that mean that every person you have an ill-conceived relationship with justifies the fact that you're polygamous? If we're going to chase a wife you're bringing home, would you not do it properly? And would you not sort of inform the person that you're already in a monogamous relationship or a relationship with or marriage with and say, Madam, there's a likelihood I might be adding 1 or 2 wives. So this person is aware. You're not doing it behind the person's back. You haven't told the person this is what you're doing. Somebody fell pregnant by you, all of a sudden is justification for the fact that black men are polygamous in nature. What happens to the white men that do this? Do you understand? How then do you explain that? How then do you explain the women who they've done DNA and found out that their children are not their husbands? Does that mean that black women are polygamous in nature as well? And so we should now let everybody to... So I think that because of the story, I was saying to Tokwe yesterday that while I was in Jos a long time ago, I'd heard a story about him, you know, so it didn't really come as a shock just for me. And I thought maybe we should look at, maybe some people have a problem and they need help with, they cry for help for something. And then if the wife is also aware of this problem, because a lot of people now are saying that woman should be carrying placard on her behalf. I know she should leave. She may know that this is what he is and what he has been dealing with, and they've been working. All right, let me come to talk with your initial thoughts on this.
My initial thought on this is, he who has no sin, cast the first stone. That was my first thought, because I read the comments on social media and I was like, you holy Abi. He who has no sin should cast the first stone. Every malam within kettle, now the person where they catch be thief. You know, so I feel really bad that we have some people castigating and insulting. I feel really bad that some people feel like, oh, his ministry is nothing because he sinned, you know. And I have been blessed by his song. He's a powerful worshiper. He's an amazing singer. He is not perfect, just like every one of us. And I think that it's insulting him is not going to solve any problem. Let's deal with the issues, compartmentalizing it.
Let me stay on that for a second, because that's a very important point. Somebody will ask a critical question, like, can I separate his ministry from his act. Just like you said, they're two different things, right, from what you're saying. They're two different human beings. Yes, he's human. He has sinned, he erred, and God may have forgiven him and moved on, and God will hug him right away. But we humans are there, say, this man that cheated on his wife, he's there on the pulpit singing and ministering to us. Can we, as human beings, accept him?
So I was driving towards something, and I think that that's a good question to ask. But in that journey is the fact that in his relationship, obviously it's obvious he has issues with ability to control himself with the opposite sex. That has been in his entire trajectory right from way back. However, you will still see someone who wants to serve God, who feels like he has a musical gift. He could choose to use this to sing any other thing, but he's singing for God. So he's on that journey and he should be judged by God. Now can you now say you want to discredit his music or discredit anything that he's doing, or he cannot minister anymore? I don't think that's the right approach, because we've seen several cases of people in the Bible. Several. David is the first one everybody uses. You say, even David, David has his several issues, and he still went back to God, and God will accept him. That's the kind of God we serve. So human beings should learn to separate that. As human, he is philandering. That's his own sin. Somebody else is backbiting.
Yes.
Somebody is backbiting, like anything you hear like this, the next person will hear it. Yes. Somebody else is stealing. He cannot see two things. He will take it. He's adding zero, is conniving in the office. Every man with ticket, all of us carry sin. Yes. You know, because if we are holy, then we have no need for God. But in this place, there's no justification for what he's done, because he's been unfaithful to his wife, who is committed to.
Let's go to this unfaithful. But this is a man. I like to go to his antecedents of when he was, I think it was suspended from Paul Adefaras's church for something similar. We heard, was having an affair, according to the story, that was having affairs with some church choir members. And so you went to go and marry, as a woman, you went to go and marry a man that has baggage. He has done this, he has done that. But as a Christian woman, I'm saying, he has asked God for forgiveness. God has forgiven. He's a new man. All things are passed away. Behold, things have become new. So we are now new creatures. And now he has committed himself 100% to you. So if you're in this woman's shoes, how would you take this in? Would you say, listen, it was an error. It's an error. There was something that happened from the past. This is your behavior. I thought you had changed, but you're still struggling. I'm willing to stay with you to work through it. Or carry your bag and go, because this person was willing to possibly ask this lady for an abortion.
That's what I'm going.
So that's the naughty issue, Mariam.
So, like I said earlier, that the wife may be very well aware of his indiscretions and his weakness, and maybe they have decided to work on it. So that's why I was talking about sex addiction. It's a thing. Yeah. People go to therapy for things like that. And maybe sometimes we should just stop making it about, he just likes women too. What was his trauma? What did he go through when he was growing up? And what is it that he can? And if it's something that they already agreed to work on while being married, then she may not see it as a shock the way we're seeing it. She may not see it as, it may even be for her maybe a win. Like, we've done 3 years and we did not have this issue. Or we've done 5 years and this issue hasn't come up. But if this marriage was based on, I promise to abide by you, I'm faithful, I would never do this again, then I guess it really depends on her. I know of many women who have stayed with philandering men for many years, for all their marital lives. And they'll tell you, because he's so many other things. He's such a good husband. He's such a good father. He's everything. He provides. He has never hit me before. And then there's some people who would say, yes, he's not philandering, but, he doesn't really take care of his family. So I know that women constantly juggle that. But I think where this is a problem for me is the part of the person responding, which is, he abandoned me. He didn't want to talk about it. Suggested that we should go have an abortion. This was not someone, to me, that was willing to confess. This was someone that was caught. So was he compelled to confess? Was this confession done before, if this confession was done long before we even heard from her and things like that, and maybe the wife also was aware, then I would say maybe it came from a good place.
I want to go on a break, but is it fair to make that statement? Because this is a man that has apologized and has voluntarily said, I'm stepping down from ministry. Is it not fair to say, oh, he's in that because he was caught? Is that a fair statement? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So this matter, as I said, is a matter that everybody wants to learn from, because many of us are married, we have families, and we're thinking, hey, it could be anybody. Let's not even pretend it could be anybody. Because every woman, married woman especially, dread this information. Everybody's, it's one thing you have in your mind, hey, the day I will hear, I mean, you know, you're just thinking in your head. We all have it, that's the truth. So when one woman is now facing that issue, it's not to laugh at her or mock her, it's more about how do we learn from this situation? How do we prepare our minds so we don't have dead bodies? Just like the other people who are saying they are killing their husband, they're stabbing their husband. We don't want that. So how do we do this thing reasonably? So let's take a few tweets before we go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Ajaba says, Tokwe should stop justifying the acts from Okposo. He's not singing for God, but for his own gains. Just a point of correction. He's using the fame now to sleep with ladies all over to the extent of asking for abortion. And he says Sammie was addicted to the habit of philandering. He's well known and has got a track history. He doesn't deserve to move close to ministering. He was smart to out the statement before we heard from other media. He is a serial offender. And one more from Bilkis says, let him go work on his weakness. If he's standing on the pulpit, he must be held to a higher standard. Exactly. And he's doing a horrible job of being morally decent. He should stick to his music with a different theme. It was a good decision he took to step down.
Okay. So I asked the question before, and I'll come to our caller, who's, that is it fair to say he's only saying that because he was caught? Especially when a man has said, listen, I am sorry. And he truthfully is saying he stepped down voluntarily. He wasn't compelled. He stepped down from his ministry.
It's subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me take Michael and I'll come to you. Michael, are you there?
Very subjective.
Hello, Michael?
Hello, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Excuse me, I would say he's very remorseful for him apologizing to his wife, because if the wife, like, for how many, I don't know how many years they've gotten married, the wife should know the type of man he's married to, because he's battling.
I need you to reduce the volume of the TV. We can't hear you properly, please. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, so God is of purity. We certainly cannot meet God's standards of, of purity, cleanliness, holiness, and all of that. No, we cannot. But we cannot be seen not to be trying. And I hail this guy. For me, Sammie Okposo is a proper worry. Streets. He's not, forget all the holy, from what I've read about him and over the years, not just recently, this is a person who, when he needs to be, is human. Shop his life. The calling that Tokwe is calling for him is a business. This is a means to earning his living. So he's not your proper man of God, because if he was, just like one of the tweets you read, there's a standard that which you must hold yourself. It means that you're telling people that I am closer to God. I am your means. Because sometimes they say they pray for you, the man of God, they see of you. So God does not just talk to anyone. There's a purity you must constantly be striving to have. God is all forgiving. That's what my Quran says. So you can fall on the sides once in a while, but not continuously. So if you fall on the side and you get a woman pregnant, you don't cover it up and say, get an abortion. Because that in itself is murder. So now, if you fall on the side, before somebody starts to say you're asking for abortion, you would have opened up to your wife. If you're of God, that not even when she gets pregnant. When you ate and slept, not from the messages that we read, it will not be a transaction. I mean, what's that city? They use one city in the America. Do you want a ticket? Will you be around? This was a transaction. This is you calling out a lady to have a relationship with her, even though you know you're married. So a married man who is supposedly a man of God will call a woman and say, ah, no, this is wrong. Or women will be falling over themselves. But you were asking this lady, obviously you had the intentions to do this, and we have it covered up. And so when we sit here and we water it down, the way we watered it down that time.
Nobody's reminding us that everybody's a sinner.
When you use that word, that's why we have popularized the unpopular. What's supposed to be unpopular? You know, when Princess and myself had a face-off here, it was because the things that we will be ashamed of when we do them in secret, we will pray they remain there forever. Yeah. We will constantly be fighting them in our corners and never wish were the things that, you know, we were just talking about them as if they were normal. Yeah. And that's the line of who is without sin. There's a standard we are all striving to achieve.
Let me take this call from Peter. Good morning, Peter. Are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about this issue from the angle of a pastor. If since he belongs to a church, and he comes out, to me, it's just a stunt to save himself before any embarrassment comes or whatever. Because if really you were sorry, you will go to your pastor. Tell your pastor in the congregation, because biblically what he did was very wrong. And that itself will tell you what kind of mind he has. You go to your pastor, you tell it. The Bible says you cannot bring such, how dare you bring such matters that we're supposed to solve in the house and bring it outside in public. Then the Bible ends it that, are we not able to judge angels? He would have brought it to his pastor. And I'm sure if he had brought it to his pastor would not tell him to go public. But those are things that are sacred in the house of God, because people will not really see him as Sammie Okposo. It is the church. And once it becomes anything that has to do with minister that is behind the pulpit, they begin to judge everything. It's a very sensitive matter. But I think Sammie Okposo, if he is really repentant, he knows exactly what to do, not to come to media and start to do a public stunt. Thank you.
All right.
So, Nima, I'll reply you. Of course, we know what is right from what is wrong, and nobody is trying to say that what she did is right. What I'm saying is we don't sit in judgment of what is done. There is a process. The thing about church is that I've been in a church where one of our youth pastors got married, and his wife gave birth less than 9 months after the marriage. We didn't need anybody to calculate it for us. He wasn't a premature baby. Pastor was doing something before he got married. And the moment he gave birth, he wasn't allowed to step on the pulpit. He didn't even sit where he used to sit. Like, they moved him to the back of the church. For 2 years, that was his punishment. So there are ways to, and I like the last caller, there are ways you address these issues. However, I was responding to the social media comments to him, saying that, oh, this person, this, that, and I was like, there's nothing for you to sit in judgment. This man has goofed. He was a major goof, major one, and he's goofed several times. So the idea is, can we deal with the fact that there is a problem, and we need to address how to stop him from goofing, because pointing fingers isn't going to stop him from goofing. They've insulted him before. There was a time this story broke, really, when they were still at Muson Center, the House on the Rock. The story was everywhere about what he was doing, and women were fighting each other inside the church, hoping that they would be the one to marry him. So he's had this issue a long time ago.
Thank you.
When we don't address the issue, it's like pointing fingers. He needs to be helped psychologically to deal with the problem.
See, Morel, the first solution to a problem a person has is admitting that problem. If I know, like me, I talk too much, I talk too much, my first solution is to know that I talk too much. If somebody is telling me I talk too much, I won't feel insulted. You know in your heart that you have that defect. Is he admitting that this is a way that I have, this, what do you call it, that mental sex addiction, that I am sexually addicted, or I'm addicted to sex? This is English. So is he admitting it and seeking solutions so that when he falls by the wayside, we say, no, this is a problem he's already dealing with, or this is a guy, my guy kind of mentality. See how
fine his wife is. You know that. So the question again.
What
you have a wife. What do these men want? What do men want? You have a woman who's such a treasure. Hang in there.
How do they get
that woman is such a gorgeous woman. And those who know her say she's like a very fantastic human being. You have a trophy that people even think you don't even deserve. Yes. Because you don't physically look like you deserve it.
Apart from that.
I'm just saying that. You don't look like you deserve that kind of person. Because when he married her, we're like, how did she? What did he even tell this woman? When did he talk to her? Is it that jazz? You now have that. You now carry good. Come on. Who are you again?
So for me, I think that's why it explains it. That's what explains it. There must be a problem. There is a problem. Okay. Because when you have something that is so beautiful and so, that you treasure, and you're going out to people or things that are less than what you have at home, then you have a problem. And that
if you have a good woman at home.
All right, let's go on a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing Sammie Okposo, and I think there are different angles. There's so many angles to this story. First, he's a minister in the house of God. He cheated on his wife. The woman he cheated with, saying that he was suggesting to her that she should abort the pregnancy, and then he's apologized to the church and to his wife, and the people, the Nigerians are saying, oh, he wouldn't have apologized if he didn't, if this woman hadn't come or threatened to come out on this story. But there's a main issue we have not talked about. If the wife is our sister in this situation, what kind of conversation would we have with her? Because I said, every woman, we're in this net. As long as you're married to somebody, you are committed to one person. You're in this net. Every man is also in this net because your wife can cheat on you. So we're all in this net where we all dread this conversation. But one of our sisters now have to face this conversation. And if she was your sister, what kind of conversation would you have with her? Before I take that from you, let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there? Okpe? Hello, Okpe. You're live. Hello, Okpe. Please call Okpe back because she's been holding for a while. Okpe, are you there? I think we lost Okpe. All right. So, in that situation, what do you do?
This is what I would say. No. There's nothing coming from up that ground cannot take.
Yes.
Ground is wide enough for all the things coming from up. And you're not the first. Just like you said, it's been the fates or things that our mothers have dealt with. Let's leave the men now because, we are in a patriarchal society and it's populated this saying is populated that a man is born polygamous, men are polygamous by nature and all of that. So we get women dished.
Okay, let me pause you. I'm so that Okpe is still there. Okpe, are you there? Hello, Okpe? She really wants to contribute, but we can't hear her. Go ahead, Nima.
So this is where I would say to her, for your sanity, always about your sanity every time. Don't get too emotional and don't listen to the emotional statements around. Just yesterday, I was advising a friend, see, if you get emotional, this matter is going to get further complicated. You have to be very strategic about it. This is not the kind of matter, actually this kind of thing, when there's a woman pregnant outside, you have to break it well. Now that, she needed a shoulder to cry on, she has finished crying. And I say, Auntie, this is not a matter to be emotional about. She felt, can you say such a thing? Can you take it? I said, every day, I'm schooling myself. I grew up, my uncles were dishing it regular. So I've told myself where I want to be if this was my fate. Shift, let's sit down. Yep. You have children, how many children do you have? Children, see your step ones. I don't want to give myself a headache in my life. I just don't want to. Right. So for me to be telling you, it's not me being hard. If you run yourself into the emotions, it broke my heart. It promised me.
Why are you making it so
look at the pedigree, look at the
handwriting was on the wall.
The person's nature.
Yeah. You're not marrying a Jew. You're marrying.
Even if you did, even if you did marry one.
Yes.
Because I come from a place where men just say to the woman, well, if you kill yourself, I will marry and join you. It was a popular statement. So you give the power to that person who thinks that that's something to deal with you with. I had someone who said, okay, you have Wayeki, I'm proud because I didn't go to school. I always telling me every day, oh, don't worry, I know what to do. When he came with the second wife, she had the BSc. The third one had their masters. The next one had a PhD. Just so that this wife would kill herself. Oh, man. How can somebody live in that kind of marriage? So you take back the power. You say, go ahead, that's your decision. And I take care of my children.
Let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there? Juliana, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In the house.
Morning.
I want to stay with Miriam on this morning, because who said Miriam is not a life coach, you know? Because she really sticks to the matter here this morning, because these men, most of married women know their husband's dirty linings. So probably they have been dealing with this. I know sometimes most issues, by the time they come on social media...
Oh, we really wanted to get to Juliana. I'm sorry about that. So she was leaning towards the fact that, listen, you know this thing, it's possible that she may have known. So, as I said...
It's not possible. The man had... The handwriting was very on the wall. The man had antecedents.
So if you have to talk to somebody
so you entered into it.
You're talking to a sister whose husband, you already know that, okay, all the girls in choir,
he had children already.
This guy has one child here, he has here. So this is the kind of person you're getting married. Now you've entered the boat with him. And now we're here with the child. What would you tell her? Okay.
So what I would say to a woman in that situation is, it takes two to tango. A marriage does not work because a woman wants it to work. A marriage would only work because the two of you are committed to making it work. Both of you have said, you have disappointed me, I'm unhappy. For us to continue, we both need to agree to these terms. You can't do this again. If you do it, this is what will happen. Or, I'm going to allow you to do this because you are doing this for me. Like, that conversation must be had between the two parties and a neutral, respected body who would understand that I am interfacing with this. If a woman continues, like, you hear this news and you just continue with the marriage, I don't know the kind of heart you have, but, and I know Nema said we shouldn't be emotional about it, but you're in a marriage with someone. There is no way for you not to be emotional about it. So if you are in that space, for you to protect your emotion, you might need to step out and seek a way to ensure the man understands that this thing, I must be committed to it. So it takes two to make it work. A woman cannot make it work by herself. Neither can a man make the marriage work by himself. Both of you need to agree and commit to this thing, because there would always be things in skirts that look attractive. So he needs to develop that level of love and respect for you. Not even self-control. The level of love and respect, that when he sees that thing, the thing comes to meet him. Like birthday suits, he will just look at it and say, I cannot, my wife. Is that respect? Because your body will do everything it can do. So when you cannot do it, then
it's hard to remove emotions from this. And I'll come to you, Mariam, because we don't see the full picture. You know, part of the picture could be where, you know his history, and both of us, before we seal this knot, we made a promise to each other. Yes, you've done this in the past, but now it's a new clean slate. You're promising me 100%, and I trusted you. So it's a trust which he also acknowledged he has broken.
Yes.
So this is a critical question for this person. Somebody has broken your trust. How do you find it to forgive the person? I mean, I'll take this call. I'll come to you, Mariam. I think I have Clara. Clara, are you there? Hello, Clara, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Sure.
Mariam, please, let me hear your thoughts.
Okay, so let me just start by reading this tweet. It says, no matter what admonition anybody gives, at the end of the day, it's the wife that decides if she can live with the situation or walk away for her peace of mind. What's her threshold is different strokes for different folks. And that's just really it. You know, we would say different things. I understand what you mean about love and respect, but you've heard men say things like, I don't love her. She was just a thing, a fling. You, I love and I respect. If you leave me, you will destroy my world. What I did was a weakness. What I did was, something that I regret.
What those lyrics?
Well, they could be lyrics. They could be somebody.
They could be sincere.
Good. So we have this story of Tiger Woods. We remember the story of how, when it first came out, his wife chased him with a golf club because she caught him cheating, not realizing he had cheated with almost the whole of America. And then they realized that he had a problem with, sex. And, and she decided not to stay with him. She decided, see, go and sort yourself out, but I'm leaving this marriage. And that is, in the end, that decision lies on the woman. Is this something I'm willing to work with him with, because some people will have, I always say there are some people that have eating disorder. Every day you're eating, you are trying to help you lose weight. And this man is there working with you, helping you lose weight. He recognized your own weakness. Are you willing to recognize his own weakness and work with him?
Let me take this call. Thank you. Beatrice. Beatrice, are you there? Hello, Beatrice, you're live. I think our phone lines are having issues. Hello, Beatrice. Really, really want to hear. I can't hear her.
When I said that your sanity is 100% important, it didn't mean that you must stay and make it work. But for some women, their realities is that if they leave, they can't deal. For some, they can just be, leaving might make them an entire mess. And then leaving means, you know, you're going with a baggage. Now I'm helping someone find her feet because she's been in a marriage. She married at 20. She's been in that marriage for 10 years, 4 children. She's never had a job. So if that kind of person wants to leave, where is she leaving to? You know? So for some people, you face your reality, and I said strategic. So for some women, they will say, okay, this is what I need from you. I know someone when I was growing up who would monetize every fling her husband had. And I would just sit down and be asking her, she said, shut up your mouth. I just need him to train these children. And she took herself away from her marital rights in that marriage and stayed and said, when my children get to a certain age, thankfully, she's still married to the same person. They're older now. They dealt with it. But for some people leave their marriages at the age, at 30 years of their anniversary. So for some, they're sitting there for, be strategic, whatever works for you. Don't let anybody decide it for you because they will not help you carry that burden. If you have 5 children, or you have certain things to, whatever you're staying for, know it. Be clear about it. What is important is whatever works for your sanity.
A woman who marries a man who already has this history, should cheating be a deal breaker for you? Like, you already know, like, I already knew that they said that all the choir members, you did it. You have child, this, you didn't know. I know that. I know who I'm marrying. So as my mind should also be prepared. Okay, as I enter this one, there's a possibility somewhere, even though he has asked God for mercy and he has forgiveness and didn't come, somewhere down, like this might happen. No, so if I'm prepared with that mindset, maybe this isn't a deal breaker. Hey, it has happened. As long as he's repentant and he's come back, we're good to go.
Sometimes you'll be prepared, you get it, and then you realize, I don't think I can handle this. And I think it's your right to decide I can't handle it and leave. Because your sanity comes
now,
first.
let's now go to the other woman. I want to also finish up with
I'll finish with that. But if you're staying, don't just stay. Because maybe they're giving you pocket money. If you're staying, be saving. For women who are not empowered. If you're staying, be saving. Someone I know did a trust. She had only 1 child. She did a trust for that child. She said, all I am earning, so that they don't pack property together because there's something called joint account, joint property, and her next of kin is still the same man. So they don't mix everything together.
Can I ask a simple question?
Sit down well and know what you're doing.
And I can't ask it in English because I don't know how to say it in English. Because he has really dated some really powerful people. A whole heavy, a whole Ketenshaw has been there. A whole Stella Damascus has been there. A whole Gloria Ibu has been there. So this guy now.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, like,
I think there's a spirit around people that can sing. There's just something about, they have this aura, they just drag you.
Our producer is looking for the
They say former most beautiful girl in Nigeria, Janet Pataya. Imagine that.
Okay, so that's one thing I've noticed, especially in church when you're on the pulpit, sometimes you see them when they're singing.
Music.
The Holy Spirit seems as if it has landed on their own head. So I just feel that unctioning, that power just is attractive.
That's why they say open your eye when you fall in love.
Yes.
So as you're falling, make sure you're not falling.
We need to wrap up. Let me take Margaret and I'll come to you. Margaret, are you there? Final caller on this. Sugar. Sorry.
So let me just say that I think that women, there's a part of looks, but women fall more for what they hear because it connects to how they feel. So you might think you see some people that they don't really look it, but when they wax their lyrics, it touches. So it's not really about
the music.
Yes, it's the yes. What is he saying? What is he saying to them?
That guy, worried guy, looks like that. Look, they always have
his mouth.
His mouth.
Yes, his mouth.
But even the musicians are not Christian musicians.
Yes, people fall for them.
They guess his mouth.
See the way one girl was grabbing whiskey. I'm like, whiskey can give all this bobele easily.
That's something about that music. So when they said Lucifer used to sing for God,
He's not Lucifer. Anyway, we have to wrap up. We have to wrap up. But I wanted us to wrap up.
Oh my God.
To say about the other lady. Is there any importance?
Yes.
For her?
Please.
Do we have any importance?
I feel that
I don't like talking about the other lady.
I think that we've just watched. People. A lot of people did not acknowledge the fact that that lady was a full-grown adult.
Yes.
Knows the man is a married man. and went ahead with the affair consistently enough to get pregnant. You know, when one is a mistake.
Say she agrees that she went into it.
Thank you. She already
knows
it.
She owned this, her full chest. No, I'm a very woman. She owned that. When I did it. We both did it. I was wrong.
No, this lady,
and she's keeping it.
People do these things. They have flings. They have. This lady felt that, you know, she did that. But what hurts the most is that just the sweet mouth is the sweet mouth that they use for housewife, they use for outsider. It's the sweet mouth that worked for her. What pained her was the total
disrespect. You are pushing
push aside about the belly, and that's it. For some people,
the relationship was
she is now attached to pregnancy. She's attached to her own child.
We don't talk about one thing, no.
Why did you use a condom?
What if you carry AIDS?
God.
What if you carry HIV?
You didn't protect yourself.
And then you go back
Maybe he brought his medical report.
but really, it's part of the irresponsibility.
Yeah,
you should use protection. If you are cheating, if you're going to go outside, please protect yourself because of your wife. Because you know what? Yeah, all the way in America, it's like Nigeria can say we don't have AIDS here. I mean, I'm just saying, but all the way in America, all the relationship that they have there, you now bring it to Nigeria. Come on. I mean, come on.
I think it's disrespect to the wife to have unprotected sex like that and expose her to any kind of sexually transmitted disease. Not even.
We have to wrap up.
It's even just the fact that
now let's speak to the man, the principal in this. What do we say to Sammie Okposo in this situation? Nima, let me start. You're a worried person, your person.
No, my guy.
Okay, so what would you tell him? What would you tell him? What would you tell him if he was your brother? If he was your brother, let's talk about his brother. What would you tell him now at this moment?
If he was my brother, he would have 4 wives.
Okay,
he's my grandfather's grandson.
Okay, so
you will help him.
So you help him to bring it in.
I will accept all of them.
So just bring her as wife, second wife. And you were like, okay, so that's your
beg our yale, no problem.
You can't beg your yale, please allow to enter. Okay, cool. Mariam, is your brother, what would you say?
You goofed, and you need to step aside like you have done.
Yes.
And with your wife, let her decide what she wants to do with you going forward. That's it.
If Sammie Okposo was my brother, I'll be like, guy, you form my hand. Like you form my hand. Like you're too old to do this kind of thing. You're too experienced to do this kind of thing. Not be today, you know. And of course, the expectation will be you need to man up, take responsibility for the pregnancy, take responsibility to preserve your home, and more importantly, live up to a higher standard for the ministry you carry.
Fantastic. Okay. I think I don't have any advice.
After I put us on advice, you must advise.
No, I mean, for me, I think if it was my brother, just like you rightly said, he has obviously goofed. Owning up is very important. He must take responsibility for the child also. And he must be willing to do everything within his power to keep that marriage. Because obviously, he has promised this woman that this will never happen, I'm sure. So you have broken a trust. And trust doesn't get rebuilt overnight. It takes years. And you must do it in your behavior, in your acts. Every single thing you do, you must dance to her tune. Just say you don't come for her. For the next how many, no matter how long it takes. You're going to do what it takes to get this woman to earn her trust back. If you want the trust, if you want that marriage.
Let me add quickly that because this has happened and the divorces might happen, respect this woman, the woman at home. No matter the circumstance, you've disrespected her.
Enough.
You put her name on blogs, and you know, will be online for a long time in this way. So not that, Nigerians, when we now pass this, you now say, but you too, please never disrespect her again. Not even in your comments, in anything, act responsibly.
That's all we can take on this Sammie Okposo matter. When we come back, another gist. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So for those of you that have been watching Your View for many years, you know that on Wednesdays we discuss business kind of related topics, but some of these stories are just so heavy. Our producers then say, no, we can't wait till Thursday. We must talk about it. So we discussed Sammie Okposo before the break. Now we're discussing our own friend of the house, Messi Aigbe. Now, she's a popular actress, had on Sunday unveiled married movie industry entrepreneur Kazim Adeoti as her beautiful, sparkling, as her new husband, I think, on social media. There are multiple reports that Mr. Adeoti's wife and Mr. Aigbe were friends in the past. There were also pictures of Mercy and her former husband, Mr. Gentry, posing with, obviously they were friends and family friends. So this singular move of hers sparked a lot of outrage on social media, as some say she deliberately destroyed somebody else's peaceful home. Others said, that wife is not a saint self. She don't do it for, there are different angles. You never know these things.
Husband snatcher.
Again, we don't, before the previous story was about a man going out. Now, this is about a woman who is happy. She's happy with her new husband. But now we hear that this man is also somebody else's husband who was happily married where he's coming from. And this kind of situation. So it's a bit messy.
Very.
But she's off to the honeymoon. I mean, I saw her post saying that she's gone. I don't know. I don't know if I'm right, but she's been on honeymoon. So while we're all talking about it, she's hanging out somewhere in one country. I think. I'm not sure. But what are your thoughts on this message? Because, I mean, as I said, she's a friend of the house. She's not somebody that she's somebody that we all admire and appreciate the work she's done in the past.
She's been on our show a few times.
So she's not somebody who wants to, I'm not trying to bash, we just like to understand. Nima, understand.
You are Nigerian movie, local content person.
I go to person, this cannot matter. What do you make of this entire story?
Okay, so one of my mothers, Mrs. Modume, used to say that if man died, and friends go marry wife. So the gist around was that, her ex-husband, her new husband, his wife were all family friends, and it looked distasteful that, she moved in between within that friendship to pick a new spouse. And so they suggested, even her ex-husband suggested that, the relationship persisted while they were married. The only part for me, and that didn't surprise me, because, normal. If you don't comport yourself in a certain way, these things are bound to happen. Your husband's friends will think you're too well put together, you have dressed. Some who don't even have shame. They'll be eyeing you while your husband is there. And for some, when you speak up, it even destroys friendship. So some women will just handle it on their own. But what pained me was that this conduct has attendant effects, consequences. And one of such consequences is that they picked her son.
That's what hurt me the most. And
put him on the front burner. And then they start to do a photo DNA for that boy.
Photo DNA, no?
Photo DNA.
That hurts me so bad.
That hurts me because, unfortunately, where we live, that poor boy will now be the one to deal with the choices
his parents made. First
person, of his mother. And so when we don't want to hold ourselves to standards, I'm not judging. Islam says don't judge by your standards. So my standards are different. And the way I bash myself with my standards are different. But when we don't hold ourselves to certain standards, for the reason, just for the simple reason that we have people who our choices can affect. So I was, dating someone, and his friend wanted to date me. So between the two of them, somebody had said to one person, I would date her. When I broke up with this person, the innocent one plus the guilty one, all of you go. I cannot be in that same circle. I cannot be said to date this one. You can't be exchanged. Amongst two friends, you can't exchange me. For some people, that's the standards. For some people, you cannot leave one room. But in some places, let me use the Yoruba proverb. Complete it.
I really don't know. I don't even know the proverb.
But you cannot be going to Bomosha and Oyo and coming back and not know the ending of that proverb. I'll leave it for the Yoruba viewers.
They will send me, they'll trust them, they'll come and send me right now. But you see, let me come to Mariam, your thoughts on this. What are your initial thoughts? Let me just start with the initial thoughts.
Yeah, some things are not so black and white. So face value now, it just seems, it looks bad. If you were in a close relationship with that other family and now you're the one in there, it just looks bad. But I also know that sometimes when you dig a bit further, things are not so plain like that. So I'm just giving scenarios because I've seen that play out many, many times. There's this particular celebrity I follow. She lives in America. She got married to her husband. She's always been the family friend of that family. She's close to him, his wife, his children, and many years after they get married, he divorces or his wife divorces him, and then they get married. And the world came for her. How dare you? But it took a picture of her and the ex-wife together saying, there are no hard feelings here. We had moved on a long time, and I'm happy that my husband decided to be with this woman. So there's that part of the story where the first couple have actually moved on, and this is not a stealing, snatching situation. This is just that we have moved on, and now I'm happy for them. Then there are stories of people who it was, because there's the story of, there's a message from the ex-wife going around where she says, you don't lose something that never loved you or appreciated you. So it also looks like this is a woman that, see, take whatever it is you have, take it and go. I don't really even want anything from this. And I haven't heard her say anything else concerning this. Now I hear that Mr. Aigbe's former husband is the one that put the pictures out because for him it was, well, whatever, he had suspicions during the marriage. And so for him, this has now confirmed it. Even though he's moved on to his own new family. He has a wife now. And people are asking, if you have moved on to your family, you have a wife now, why then are you having this conversation? So I understand the hurt that may come from it. It will be like, you caused our marriage to break down because this was what was on ground. I had my suspicions, you denied it, and now you have confirmed it, that the reason our marriage broke down was not just because of me or my, suspicions that were not at that time, could not be verified, and now here you are. So I understand that anger, if that is how it happened. But I remember also stories of domestic violence. There were videos of her coming out crying that she was hit. So while she was being beaten, who was comforting her?
I was going to come to this story of love. I mean, Toka is always saying she's a love person. It's about love. You can't help who you fall in love with. If I marry you out of convenience, or maybe you were there to help me during my career, both of us just got together, and it was just convenient, and we now have 3 children together. But as we're in this marriage, you're friends with Mariam, and I now fall in love with Mariam, and I see this is where my true heart belongs. So yes, we have 2 children together because it was convenient, and you're good to me. You're not a bad person. But that spark is not there. But I get the spark with Mariam, who happens to be a friend. And because she's friends with us, we're all family and friends, the spark is here. So if both of you now say, maybe it's not working properly, am I not free to marry Mariam? Even though I know. So where does that play in the fact that shouldn't adults be allowed to love whomever it is they choose to love, regardless of the circumstances surrounding this love?
You will do it with respect, though. Yeah. You will do it with respect. Because there are just too many things. And what I would have thought is there might have been a behind-the-scenes conversations before this one happened. And it does not look like that's what happened in this case.
So we've discussed that part before, and I've always had the opinion that I don't believe that if there's any justification for mutual friendships to evolve into marriage. It just looks messy. For me, Mercy Aigbe, very beautiful, hardworking lady. This is messy, above this. But she's entitled to her joy. Here are the things I had issues with concerning this thing. Because everybody will say, I want to be happy, I can do anything, I want to be happy. And I've always questioned that happiness in quotes, where it's that selfish happiness and its effects, ripple effects on other people around you. I feel that, one, is either you're my friend or you're not my friend. And we must put it into the right context. This is family friend. You guys are family friends together, and then you are now getting married and putting it all over social media. It just feels very, very, with this valueless society we live in. Yes.
Because there's no social media.
So the truth is, there's nothing new on earth. Yoruba people say there's nothing new on earth, and there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that has ever happened before, but it does not rid us of what our values are. And I'm not going to judge her for what she's done. She's owned herself, and she's come out to say this is what she's going to do. What I feel, though, is that we must begin to think of the future of what we're doing. The future of what we're doing. I'm doing this for me selfishly has impact on the lives of others. The man obviously hasn't forgiven. The ex-husband obviously hasn't forgiven. The man is still bitter. The man was the one that brought this thing online. And then there's the story of people saying, were you dating both of you were married, both of you were dating, both of you now separated, and both of you have now married each other. Very, very messy. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right.
But how does this thing concern the public? Like, why are we so involved? Why do we even care?
Okay, this is
how
social media now.
They're the ones that put it out there.
This is how it concerns the public. So the previous marriage broke down. Videos showed the ex-husband driving and tailing her in a particular place in Omole where she went to do her hair. He was claiming she had left the house to see someone. She was claiming she had left the house because she was being abused.
Yeah.
So the detail, the gray area of that story was, if she was being abused, Oga, why are you the abuser? His insistence, she's cheating in that marriage, was it's not provocation for any man to go crazy if he had the facts. And, you know, we sort of killed that story and sat on her side because abuse was on the front burner. So physical violence is not something people tend to look away from. But one of strong such defense in provocation is usually cheating. Infidelity. So, and he never had his side. So the moment she decides to come public now, with her newfound happiness and relationship, he says, finally, I'll put the picture out there and get my side of the story out there. Not necessarily because he's not moved on, but because, you know, just as Miriam said, there was that silence and the people rested the story on the abuse. I particularly believe the abuse story, and so what? But no, so you need to tell your story. And so he did. He put the picture out there. But when and now everybody now used that and went back with the same drama.
So when we say when we say she didn't do it respectfully, is that fair? Is that a fair statement? Because she gave it time. On that. She gave it time. No, this thing happened quite a few some years back. She gave it time to simmer down before she now came out because she shows that she really loves this new guy.
You know, reach there. It might not be because just as you said, sorry, just as you said, at a particular point in your career, one person was helpful, and later you fell in love, and then you've moved on. So it might be that that other person too is helpful. They're still in the same business. So for me, she didn't necessarily do something bad. The only part is that while your marriage is subsisting, you must respectfully comport yourself. So you cannot be seen to be around the person who is your fling. As I am now with all my kinikon, I might have somebody that I secretly admire. But if I know that person, I will not be in the same circle. I'll do everything possible to stay away from that person because I'm a married woman. I must carry myself like that. Now, if our marriage did not work,
but she seems to have stayed away now. She stayed away.
No.
She stayed away because for her to remarry now, it means that other one has probably divorced.
She's marrying now. Does it mean they were not together now?
But does that mean that they were together since then? So that's another thing. We don't know that. We don't know for sure if this is who she was according to her cheating with. Yes. What if it wasn't? What if it was a breakdown of her marriage and she's been single all this time and now decided, now I'm a free woman and
I want to be happy. That's a good thing
to be with this person. But then it still looks bad because we are family. Were family.
That one doesn't. I don't subscribe to that one. You can marry your cousin. No, that one I don't. That one.
So you don't have issues. But that does not mean that was based on
anywhere
cheating.
You find your happiness.
So you don't have an issue.
But don't cheat into that relationship. Don't cheat your other spouse into it. But wherever you find your happiness, even if it's younger brother
Auntie,
of your ex-husband.
God forbid anything happens to you now. Your friend will now marry your husband.
She's welcome. She doesn't mind to my children.
And I've always disagreed. So
okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm told I have a caller. Good morning. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Rosemary.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you very much. I just want to say you guys are doing a really good job picking up all these various topics. Morayo, shout out to you and the other ladies.
Thank you.
And also shout out to you.
Thank you.
As well. Concerning the discussion you're having this morning, I just want people to get one thing into their head. No man whatsoever is good. And the moment we pick that up, knowing that no one is good, then our expectations would always be zero for everybody. You know, that's one thing we have to get. But one thing I must say in relating to all this is that there is always accountability for every action, and every action that anyone does, man or woman, not just the woman alone, men as well. For every action, there must be an accountability. So once we get that into our head, I think everything that we expect from people will just be at zero level. That's just my contribution.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. So everybody will be accountable for every act you do. Okay, let's take a few messages on social media. Do you have any?
There are messages, though.
Want to start?
Yes. Kelvin is saying, perhaps while she and her ex-husband were having issues, this friend may have been the one comforting her, showing her the love, which in my opinion is wrong. No matter how we look at it, it is wrong. Kelvin also said there's something going on when she was still married. Feelings don't come from the blues if there was no closeness.
Well, let me give you time to have... It was many years ago, right?
Can I ask a question? When a woman, as I think I tried to ask it earlier, when a woman is in a marriage with somebody and then she meets her husband's friend, who she seemed to connect with much better.
Remove your eye.
How does she deal with it? Because that's what we're not assuming that's what happened with Matthew. I'm just saying that.
We answer you too. You should starve such feelings.
You should starve it.
Kill it.
If you were not married,
burn it.
You can be dating one guy and be in love with another guy. You wait out even your relationship. The Prophet said, do not price what your brother has taken. So if a man has asked for Miriam's hand, okay, maybe I asked for Miriam's hand in marriage. Don't cannot now come and say, if Miriam accepts. Yeah. She has to wait out Miriam what somebody else give me a no, clearly, before she can proceed and say, well, I've always liked you.
Which seems like what has happened in this case.
Yes, so that there's respect.
And then
so that there's respect. So if you're a woman and you're in a relationship, marriage, and you have somebody that you're desiring, you have to starve to death.
All right, Kelvin, let me take Kelvin. Are you there?
Yes, please.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm calling from Holland.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Yes, please. I want to contribute to this conversation.
Yeah.
And can I go ahead?
Please do. You're live.
Okay, thank you, Mariah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I think I want to go with Tope's contribution earlier that to question happiness when situations like this arise. People come up, oh, because of my happiness, it's my happiness, to justify certain behaviors. I can, to marry someone is not a thing that happens with just like a magic wand. I want to marry you today and that's it, we'll get married. This lady must have had something with this guy, talked about it, they, agreed to get married to him. It is a process. They must have had something earlier before deciding, you know what, you're going to go to the altar and be a couple. So it is a lot of underhand has gone behind the husband before they came to the public. So Tope was right, and
right.
We all every time we see justification for certain suspicion.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so we're speculating, right? And we can speculate either side. So it could be that relationship was going on while there was a marriage, while she was still in her marriage, and in that case, that was completely and utterly wrong. And then there's also the scenario where it could have been that it was after her marriage, she's moved on, she's cried, and she, no, not even cried while she was in the marriage. She just moved on and now decided that, we can have a relationship because here I am now a single woman. And that can also happen to both, these scenarios can exist. And one is wrong, but the other is okay. The other is fine. If she was a single woman available for marriage and to be in a relationship, that is fine.
She's entitled to her happiness. So she has a friend that says, oh, congratulations, dear.
And the same friend. Okay, so but before we go to that one, your question was on, see, at every point in time, you'd always see something you like. The men feel that way too.
Abi?
It's about commitment. As you've already said, this is the person I'm going to marry. I've already said yes to this person. The tall, dark and handsome, wealthy guy by his side that shows up, I will look at him and be like, maybe if I'd met him before I married, but I'm already married.
Commitment.
So I'm going to stay committed.
Responsibility.
Yes. I'm going to stay committed to this relationship, and you will stay committed. Even though your eye wants to go there, you will bring your eye back.
So how do you kill it? How do you kill it? You talk about killing it. You said burn it. How do you burn it?
Burn, stab, disconnect.
How? You disconnect. Your husband's friend that comes around to come and say hello.
No. You disconnect.
How do you disconnect from your husband's friend?
Not around. We don't need to have a conversation. I don't need to have a conversation with my husband's friend. I greet, I go. We don't nurture that relationship. What you don't nurture.
But it's in your industry. You meet him at work and he's producing a movie. Yes.
I want to ask. Is it possible? Have you all thought about it? Can you sit with your husband and say, you know, that's your friend, that I'm quite attracted to him. Can we stop? And it's affecting me.
We cannot have that kind of conversation.
Can we have
that kind of conversation?
Can we be that open?
No.
I trust my husband. My husband trusts me. And this is a problem I have. Wait, this is a problem I have. Before it becomes something. This is it. I've laid it down.
We tell our husband.
You know the strength of his mind.
Can you tell your husband?
Nima, I will deal with it on my own.
Exactly.
And I will deal with it with my staff. I've done it twice. I once had, my husband will kill me for this, a friend of his who jokingly, first year of my marriage, said that, I thought your wife was introducing me as her husband. I said, just because you have a car, we don't have a car. If he comes to the house, I don't host him. I don't talk to him. In fact, I killed the friendship between the two of them. I do that one well. Then I had someone who...
That's because you don't like him. I'm talking about a guy that you're attracted
who knows
to.
I'm married. When I joined YourView, when I'm on the show, would send me messages.
You're looking very beautiful.
Nima, you're so fine.
You know that?
Small. In fact, there was a day my husband picked my phone and said, why is this person blocked on your phone? I was like, is it blocked? Is it blocked? I pretended I didn't know. I blocked the person for years. And he wanted to use my phone to call the person. I was like, how is it blocked? Because, you see, what I believe trust is knowing a person. Trust is knowing how a person fights their personal battles. That's why I use that term. Trust is knowing that
so we have open conversations.
So over the years, the actions that I have taken in the past is what
I can't hear anybody, guys. What I tell. So let me finish.
Over the years, the actions that the person has taken on issues over the past, in their past for years, is what you would trust that this is how this person would deal with it. This is something this person would hate.
Right.
You know, this is something the person, and that is how you can trust.
Let me come to you. You're answering that question.
So, I cannot have that conversation with my husband, not because we don't have very open trust conversation. It's just because I know that I'll be sowing a seed in his mind that I'm looking at somebody.
Thank you.
And so you begin to look at, is she looking at that person in a funny way? Is she looking at that person? So I don't want to sow that seed. I want him to just assume that
you don't see
I can handle anything. Because if I admit I can handle. Because I can handle. You know, I know I can handle because I will be able, even if I am attracted to someone or I see something I like, I would deliberately cut it off. So I know I can handle.
Similar to my recent experience.
Yes, now, I would cut it off. So if I let him know that I get vulnerable, he will begin to wonder how vulnerable can I get? And I'll begin to make him think.
Yes. Something called whispering.
I just handle and move on. Don't have that conversation. Make sure you handle it.
Fantastic. Let's talk about the person who has decided to handle and not say anything, and then
you could not move on.
Now, not only are you vulnerable, you are also a doer of bad things, and I would never, ever, you know. So I feel that we should try and normalize open conversation. I know a lot of us here, especially you've talked about, you discuss everything with your husband, you say everything to your husband, then you should normalize that part of you that you're struggling with.
So I have a caller. Yes. I'm on air. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, I will. All right.
So this is where I would like to. I don't want to close the show without saying that.
So that was Mercy Aigbe that called me, actually. I'm sure she wanted to say something, but I'm not seeing her message. I'm not seeing. She just sent me a message. Send me, Mercy, I can't get your message. She just sent me a message. Maybe she wanted to say something.
So
but
this is what
really
I want
nice
to say
hear
quickly.
from her.
So when some of us support the regulation of social media, it's because of things like this, and it's not because of the adults in question. When a person makes a joke or a popular message or something to trend on a child, something has to be, it is illegal. That's how I see it. So somebody there has to be consequences.
Should be prosecuted.
Who started the photo DNA? Why is it trending? There's nothing tasteful, there's nothing exciting about it.
She didn't put her children outside. She didn't put her son outside. Somebody chose to do that, and it was wrong.
Story. So for me, the adults, she has her choices, but For the child?
That broke my heart. I have to tell you, when I saw that picture, that broke my heart.
No.
I felt that child
that
didn't
always.
deserve that. Yes.
Okay, so for some reason, I'm not getting her message, but you know what? We can always continue this conversation tomorrow based on my message from Mercy. She called me, and I know she wanted to say something. It would be great to hear from her directly, because this story is about, as I said, listen, it's about her happiness. We're not here to judge, and we're just here to learn from each other's experiences. Let's wrap up. Oh, text just came in now.
It's not something you should read on.
Okay, she just says that. So she's clearing it very clearly that I just want to make the correct the impression. Adekaz isn't Lanre Gentry's friend. So categorically, this is directly from Mercy Aigbe saying that this guy that was saying is not Lanre Gentry's friend. So if you guys have matched the pictures, that's probably not correct. They were never friends. So we're just having a conversation on that. But for Mercy Aigbe directly, they were never friends. So Emma
Lanre Gentry put out the picture.
How about her? Was she friends with the wife?
That's the question on that time. What's the wrap of the show? Emma Kogbosi Walakmo, we're not friends. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.